From 99 to 2000, Triple H had become the biggest heel in the company. Like, this man had legit one of the greatest heel runs of all time, along with an all-time great glow up. He went from looking like this to looking like this. From a random Mick Carter to Triple H. Yeah man, from 99 to 2000, he was on another level. Let's take a look at some of his highlights. First, he turned on DX, then one night he trapped The Rock in a casket and smashed the hell out of it with a sledgehammer. He then took out Stone Cold Steve Austin's knees at SummerSlam 99. He had HBK turn heel to help him retain the WWF title. He got into a feud with the McMahon family. He then kidnapped the boss's daughter and gets married to her in Las Vegas. And if that wasn't enough, he had Stephanie turn on her own father just for him. And by January of 2000, Triple H basically became in control of the entire company. Triple H was definitely elite, but regardless of all those things he did, for some reason he never had that iconic feud. He never had the defining match. He never had the moment. He needed that one feud, that one match, that one rival that would elevate him to take him from being just another heel champion to the game, to the cerebral assassin. And who could possibly be that rival? This man. No, not the one on the left. Yeah, the one on the right actually. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you didn't know anything about wrestling, you would probably be asking me, how the hell did a homeless man contribute to making Triple H into a star? And for that, let me explain. See, Mick Foley as a wrestler didn't win a lot. To be honest, if you put a gun to my head and told me, hey, name 10 Foley wins off the top of my head or you're dead, let's just say rest in peace to WrestlinGifs. Yeah, even though winning wasn't one of the things Mick was good at, the one thing he was good at was making people into stars. At the expense of shortening his own career, Mick was out here making careers. See, over the years, Mick Foley has done a lot for a lot of wrestlers. Edge, Randy Orton, The Rock, Sting back in WCW. He even helped out The Undertaker get edgier than he already was. But his feud with Triple H is without a doubt, in my opinion, his magnum opus. So let's go back 20 years and take a look at Mick Foley versus Triple H. December 12th, 1999, Vince McMahon got his ass kicked by Triple H, and to add insult to injury, his own daughter turned on him, and as a result, the McMahon-Helmsley era was born. The next night on Raw, Vince and Shane officially left the WWF. And now it was time for Stephanie and Triple H to go crazy. They had all the power, all the rules, and they made all the matches, and they were wilding out. And poor Mankind started protesting the things that Steph and Triple H were doing. As a result, Mankind got his ass kicked. It really wasn't that big of a deal because Mankind spent majority of late 99 just getting beat up by Triple H, and even when things were going amazing for good old Mankind, something always happened. SummerSlam 99, Mankind won the WWF title. The next night, he got clapped by Triple H and lost it. Unforgiven 99, 6-man challenge for the WWF title. Can Mankind finally win it back? And of course, he got his ass kicked by Triple H as usual. At this point, Mankind was just used to getting bullied. This was nothing new to him. He was just accepting his fate. And on December 27th, Triple H announced that Foley was going to go up against The Rock in a pink slip on a pole match. A match that would have made Vince Russo so proud. A match where the loser must leave the WWF. And The Rock won. As a result, Mankind was fired from the WWF. So Mankind said goodbye and he was gone. And the next week, Triple H became the WWF champion. Foley was gone and Triple H was champion. GG. See, at this time, Foley actually wanted to retire for good. He had been through a lot of damage at this point and he was ready to retire, but there was one huge issue. Triple H was a champion, okay, and he's also the heel champion, and The Rock was the biggest face, but he was going to go on to win the Rumble and go on to verse Triple H at WrestleMania. So who the hell was Triple H gonna feud with until then? Stone Cold was out getting surgery, Undertaker was a heel in 99, but even then he was also out with surgery, and nobody wanted to see Big Show versus Triple H. So Foley decided to stay for a bit longer. This is what Foley said in an interview back in 2000. I plan to retire soon, but I just don't feel I can leave the company hanging with Steve Austin out. With all modesty, to lose Mick Foley on the heels of losing Steve Austin would put the company in a tough position, so I'm gonna hang in there for a few more months. So Mankind was back on the January 10th episode of Raw and he was so excited to be back, and then he got his ass beat by Triple H once again and was left a bloody mess. It didn't matter if it was 1999 or 2000, Mankind was getting his ass beat by Triple H. Plans were to do Mankind versus Triple H at the Royal Rumble, but why would anyone care to see Foley versus Triple H when poor Foley had been getting his ass kicked for months by Triple H? Sure, the fans had sympathy for Foley, but did anyone really think Mankind was gonna pull it off? I mean, Mankind is cool, but Mankind versus Triple H just wasn't going to be that hot of a program. Anyway, on an episode of SmackDown, Triple H came out and called out Foley. The music hit and the fans went absolutely crazy. And out came a random guy dressed up as Mankind. He walks into the ring, gets on his knees and says, "I'm sorry you had to kick my ass on Raw. I'd like to apologize, Triple H, because every time I see you, I'm reminded of how pathetic I am." And the fake Mankind on his knees just kept degrading himself and insulting himself. But then came out the real Foley, Thick Foley with 3 C's. With blood all over his shirt still there from Monday, walking with a signature limp, grabs a mic and says, "Triple H, that is enough. Is this what you get off on? Making fun of me? How much more do you want from me? First you take my job, then you bring that idiot out here to take my dignity?" Triple H just standing there looking at him smiling, and Foley says, "Mankind is a lot of things, but one thing he is not is ready to face Triple H in a street fight at the Royal Rumble." Triple H's smile just gets bigger and bigger. Mankind goes on to hype up Triple H. "You're the game, you're the best in the business right now, and Mankind is nothing but a fool." And then this segment became one of the greatest segments ever. I think the WWF fans deserve a substitute in that match. I think you know the guy. Foley starts walking, and the crowd slowly gets louder and louder as the closer he gets to the ring. First the mask comes off and the crowd erupts, then the shirt comes off, and under his bloody shirt is the iconic Cactus Jack Wanted shirt, and the crowd goes absolutely mental. The tie is off, and Triple H, it looks like he had just seen a ghost. I think you know him pretty damn well. His name is Cactus Jack. He goes into the ring, Triple H is shook and he starts destroying Triple H lefts and rights, and then the fake Mankind hits him with a chair. But that just pisses off Cactus Jack even more. Cactus turns around and beats his ass. He proceeds to jump off the apron with a chair and smashes it onto the head of the fake Mankind. Bang bang. Cactus Jack was back and he was ready. What a moment. I love wrestling. All Foley did was take off a mask and change his shirt, and now Triple H was terrified of him. Triple H sold Cactus Jack's re-emergence perfectly. He looked terrified. Foley really changed his gimmick in the middle of a promo and had the fans going mental. And just like that, the match went from whatever, it's Mankind versus Triple H to holy shit, Cactus Jack versus Triple H. Cactus Jack had this lore about him. He was a psychopath back in WCW, ECW, and especially in Japan, competing in death matches and stuff. And the best part was, Triple H knew how crazy Cactus Jack was because they actually had a match back in 1997. Back in 1997, Foley and Triple H had a feud back then, and Foley was using Mankind and Dude Love against Triple H, but then one night he brought out Cactus Jack and he went crazy and drove Triple H through the announce table. So Triple H knew exactly how insane Cactus Jack was, but the difference was now Cactus Jack was angry. You destroyed Mankind, you tortured Mankind. You think Cactus Jack will take that lightly? Cactus Jack was a different beast, but the same animal.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the f does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
You're welcome.
And the build-up now drastically changed. Before it was poor Mankind getting destroyed by Triple H, and now it was crazy lunatic deranged Cactus Jack is out here hitting Triple H with chairs and putting him through tables. Oh my god, like Drake said it non-stop, they just hit a switch and they had magic. So here we were, Royal Rumble 2000, Cactus Jack versus Triple H in a street fight at Madison Square Garden. This was just special because it was Cactus Jack in a street fight, of course, but Mick grew up going to MSG to watch legends wrestle when he was a kid, which was what inspired him to be a wrestler, and now he was here wrestling for the WWF title, and Triple H was in his first big time solo main event match, and of course it was Madison Square Garden. The minute the match started, you knew it was gonna be special. It doesn't get bigger than MSG, and Triple H and Foley, well, they killed each other. It is definitely one of the most violent WWE matches in history. The stare down itself is iconic, and then for 26 minutes they proceeded to just kill each other. We witnessed violence to the 10th degree, sick chair shots that 100% caused concussions, fighting in the crowd, trash cans, suplexes on wooden pallets that led to Triple H's leg bleeding like crazy, steel steps, you name it, they did it. Cactus was wilding, bang bang, and at one point Cactus hit Triple H in the face with a barbed wire 2x4, there was blood everywhere. Foley tried to do a pile driver on the announce table, but Triple H reversed it into a back body drop. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands. Everything they did, the crowd was just invested into it. Triple H hit another level that night. He took all the damage, but he also dished it out. He came off as a real big time player that night. Foley at one point was handcuffed and was getting his ass beat. The Rock even came out to help him and clapped Triple H to even the odds. Cactus at one point poured thumbtacks all over the ring. Cactus charges at Triple H but gets backdropped onto the thumbtacks, and the crowd legit gasped while Mick Foley was in the air about to land on the thumbtacks. It was just insane. The visual of Cactus rolling around in the tacks is something I'll never forget. Like I said, it was just wild. After all the damage, after all the blood and all the war, thumbtacks and all, Triple H hit him with the pedigree. 1, 2, 3. No, Cactus Jack kicked out after being thrown on thumbtacks and getting pedigreed. He kicked out at 2.999 seconds, one of the closest near falls ever. Cactus kicked out. So what does Triple H do? He does another pedigree, but this time on the thumbtacks. 1, 2, 3. If I could only describe that in one word, it would be insane. This is the match that made Triple H into a bona fide star. Triple H became the game that night, and both men put on a crazy performance. Foley is a god at brawls like this, but this wasn't a carry job. Both men put in work, and the crowd was invested. It was hard to watch sometimes, but man, this made Triple H. Both guys deserve all the praise in the world for this performance, and by the end of the match, both men came out looking like bigger stars than they did when they walked in. Triple H had blood all over his face and Cactus Jack had tacks in his face, but they would probably tell you it was all worth it. Triple H walked into a street fight with Cactus Jack, held his own, left bloody and all, but somehow won the match without any outside interference. Triple H officially became the game on this night. This is a match that stands the test of time. To this day, this is an iconic match without a doubt, and this is what Triple H has to say about this match. Mick had been Cactus Jack before, but in just a few weeks of build up for the Royal Rumble, we created this mythical, godlike being out of Cactus Jack, and we were able to do a lot of incredible things. We accomplished a lot of things. It silenced a lot of my critics. I think it was a match where people stood up and took notice of Triple H as someone above the norm, and I think it gave Cactus Jack the platform that he wanted to go out on. It's one of my favorite moments in the business. And this is what Foley said in his book. I walked back into the dressing arena 27 minutes later with a half a dozen thumbtacks stuck in my temple area of my head, barbed wire holes in my back and stomach, sweat pouring out of my body, and a feeling of total professional redemption. I wish it had been my last match. It was that good. Triple H was at his absolute best here, and I was only a small step behind. It was a classic. And the best part was the storyline wasn't over. So Triple H was on a stretcher, but Cactus gets up in time, chases him down, takes him off the stretcher, rolls him back into the ring, gets him up and beats him one more time with a barbed wire shot to the face. Bang bang. They were going to do this one more time. So Triple H was definitely now a star, a main event player, but now they wanted to cement it. They were going to do a rematch and the anticipation was insane. But how the hell were they going to follow up the Rumble? What could be crazier than a street fight? Triple H versus Cactus Jack, Hell in a Cell, WWF title. If Jack loses, he has to retire from the WWF. So here we were, one more time. These two had amazing chemistry. They had lightning in a bottle and they knocked it out of the park. And now they were going to do it once again in a Hell in a Cell. They did everything you would expect. Chair shots, grating in the face against the cage. It was bloody, it was violent. A bunch of concussions took place that night. There was blood everywhere. It was like a street fight all over again. But then they just went another level crazy. At one point, Jack threw steel steps at Triple H, who moved out of the way, and the steps actually busted open the side of the cell. They were fighting outside and Cactus Jack hit a pile driver on top of the announce table and Cactus Jack started climbing the cell. But Stephanie grabbed his legs to stop him from going up. So Jack came down, grabbed a barbed wire 2x4 and hit Triple H in the head with it. Triple H at that point was like, alright, I'm out of here, and ran into the crowd, but Cactus Jack ran after him. So Triple H ran everywhere, and eventually to get away from Jack, he climbed up the Hell in a Cell. But Jack climbed up after him while bringing the 2x4 with him. So Cactus is climbing and climbing, but Triple H knocks him off and Jack goes flying off the cell into the table. Mick Foley once again in a Hell in a Cell match just got absolutely destroyed. He's through the table, but somehow, someway, the crazy son of a gun Cactus got up and started climbing again. Triple H was waiting and tried hitting him with a barbed wire, but Cactus ate the shots, came up and low blow Triple H, and oh man, here we were on top of the cell. Triple H and Cactus Jack. Just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, they were going to get crazier. So Jack did a DDT on top of the cell, and this was crazy. It was terrifying to think the risk these men were taking with their matches. So Jack grabbed the barbed wire 2x4, and if that wasn't painful enough, you know, a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, he lit it on fire and he hit Triple H in the head with it. Yes, you guys heard me right. You can see the visual right. He lit a barbed wire 2x4 on fire and hit Triple H in the head with it. Jack was going to kill him. He grabbed him and he was going for a pile driver on top of the cell. He was going to kill both of them, but he didn't care. He was going for the pile driver, but Triple H reversed it into a back body drop and bang. Jack went through the cell into the ring, like legit into the ring. The ring was destroyed, the cell was destroyed, and honestly, Mick Foley was destroyed. Now this was a planned spot, this wasn't like his fall versus Taker, but nonetheless, what a visual. Cactus Jack legit inside the ring. He's dead, like it's over, right? Like it's, what else can you do to a man? Triple H comes down and somehow he was moving. Foley is God. This sick son of a gun was still moving. Triple H is like, what more do I have to do to him? He grabs him, kicks him in the gut, pedigree. 1, 2, 3. Retires Mick Foley. Back to back, they had one of the greatest street fights in history and then one of the best Hell in a Cell matches in history. Triple H and Mick Foley put their bodies on the line, especially Mick Foley, and Triple H showed he could hang. He showed that he is a true main eventer and he showed why he is the game. And ladies and gentlemen, after that night, there was no doubt. Without a doubt, Triple H became the man, a star, the legit top heel in the company, and the perfect heel for the company. He then went on to have one of the greatest years in WWE history, and it all began here. Triple H deserves a lot of credit for his performance, and of course, he would have made it to the next level regardless. He had the it factor, he had the talent. But Foley being his rival was beautiful. It was right place, right time, and it was magical, and everything worked out perfectly. What Foley did with Triple H was godlike, and he made Triple H go from a top heel to a legit, believable, sadistic, badass ultra heel in like what? 3 months? And like I said, this kickstarted Triple H's GOAT tier 2000 heel run, Mick Foley's finest hour in my opinion. Mick Foley has done a lot for the business, and he always puts his body on the line to entertain the fans and to also to elevate the wrestler he's versing, and for that he will always have all of our respect. What this shows is that there's a lot more to wrestling than just wins and losses, and Foley is proof of that. And there's also more to being a star than just being the champion. Triple H was WWF champion before his matches with Foley, but it was like, whatever. But after these wars, there was no doubt. Triple H was the real deal. It was legit now. What moments, what matches, what a feud. It was lightning in a bottle.